What's going on, Dan K Show fans? Dan K, Lucas Jones. Dan K came down with a little bit of the Costas flu this weekend and starting to feel a little better. Lucas has kept his distance from me, but not anymore because it's hockey time and it's playoff time, baby. Let's talk NCDC Premier Elite on the best show in junior hockey. All right, Dan K Show fans, the best open in the biz, the best intro right there, leads us into our three things. Thing number one, playoff time, natty tickets. That golden ticket was given out to 8 different elite squads. We'll talk about those series from this weekend and do a little preview of the upcoming nationals. We won't get all the way into our picks yet because those are coming next week. Thing number two. Thing number two, what's thing number two? Thing number two is Premier time. It is a Premier weekend. There are still 12 spots to be earned. We'll talk about that on this week's show. Thing number three, there are 3 teams in the NCDC battling for that 8th and final spot in the playoffs. There are 4 teams with a chance at a top seed, a top home series in the first round, and we need to start right there. The NCDC expert, the NCDC savant, a man who is a incroyable color commentator and an even better technical director, a guy who has stayed at almost as many Marriotts as me at this point. It's Lucas Jones. What's going on?
Dan, it's been a couple of weeks since we filmed the show together. Nice to be sort of back together in the same room. The show never quite feels the same when we're just kind of sending clips back and forth. And what a week to finally get back together, because there's a lot going on in the USPHL.
A lot going on, and we start in the NCDC. This is the Premier League in junior hockey, the Tier 2 league, the place to be, the place to play. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of teams that are trying to keep their season going, Lucas. You look at the 8, 9, 10 right now, the Twin City Thunder, Boston Bandits, and Utica Junior Comets, with just a handful of games left, separated by 3 points.
Yeah, it's really anybody's race at this point, Dan. You know, you try to work your way through the schedule, and we're trying to come up with, okay, if this game goes this way, then this can happen. If this game goes this way, and eventually we just had to shut it all down because the race is so close, and there's so many great matchups going on this week and this weekend that there's really no way to figure it out except for, I think, who's going to kind of sneak their way into that 8th seed. And as we saw last year, Dan, the 8th seed, just as viable as any other seed in this tournament.
You saw it last year, the Northern Cyclones in the 8th seed. They were a game away from moving all the way to the national championship. They gave everybody fits, everyone trouble. I can tell you, one team the Hitmen don't want to see is the Twin City Thunder. This team will slog the game down. They do exactly what Bill Flanagan does up there with the Northern Cyclones, the style that beat the Hitmen last year. I think they're already saying to themselves, we'd rather see a more offensive, open ice action, and you'll get that with both Utica and the Boston Bandits. You look at Utica right now, 6-3-1 in their last 10, Lucas, but the Bandits have matched them. 6-3-1. They've gone step for step with them, toe for toe. Meanwhile, the Thunder have been dropping fast at 3-7-0. How do you right the ship if you're the Thunder? How in these final 2 games of the year do you put up enough to make this difficult on the Bandits who have 4 games in hand?
Well, the one thing that the Thunder have struggled with, I think, is the defensive side of the ice. You know, they've been letting quite a few goals into the back of the net within these last few weeks and in this past couple of months here. So I think in order to right the ship, you have to refocus on defense. You don't need to score a lot of goals to win in the NCDC. You don't.
Yeah.
But you have to play good defense on the other side of it because you're not going to be able to sit back and have your goaltender face 40 shots and save 39 of them. That just doesn't happen in the NCDC. So you got to throw your guys out in front, you got to protect the goaltender, and you got to play physically. This Twin City Thunder team needs to ratchet up the defensive effort, I think, and that will help feed into the offensive effort, especially when you talk about the 2 teams that have been surging behind them, Utica and the Boston Bandits, who have such a balanced attack. And even though their goal differentials are on the negative side, -5, -8. And we've seen that their games have been close.
Yep.
They have the ability to win close games and keep games close. And especially with this Utica team, they can turn it on late if they want to.
Yeah, and you look at this situation right now, you always have to look at the schedule. What's ahead for these guys? For the Thunder, they have to play South Shore and they have to play Northern. This is a Northern team that needs victories if they want to have home ice advantage in the postseason, sitting in the 4 spot. You look at the Bandits behind them. They've got Northern on the schedule as well. They've got Rochester on the schedule down the stretch here. It's going to be a very interesting play out. Who do you think takes the 8th spot? Who's your choice right now?
Oh, well, it's tough, especially considering it seems like all these teams have to play Northern. And Northern really is going to not just control their own destiny in terms of getting home ice advantage to the playoffs, but they're basically going to be controlling the destinies of 2 or 3 teams down the stretch here. I think you can eliminate the Thunder from this conversation. And I think it's unfortunate.
Wow.
I think it's extremely unfortunate because they've had such a good season. But I have to look at this from a straight numbers perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing is a Twin City Thunder team who has struggled in the last half of the season. And it's tough. The first year in the NCDC, It is a slog. And Coach Frew talked to us about it last year. Coach Jim Henkel talked to us about it last year as well when we spoke to him at the championship game. It is the longest season of your life. You're on the ice hundreds of times throughout the year.
Yep.
So I think the Twin City Thunder have a lot to build off of this year, but I think they won't make it into the playoffs. The team that I do think is going to make it, I think Boston Bandits are going to take that 8th spot.
I agree with you on the Bandits. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Twin City is a team that when their backs are against the wall, they tend to respond. I think they're going to be the L that the Cyclones take. I think they're a difficult matchup for anybody out there. I think they get their 4 points. I still think the Bandits do enough to get in. I think the Bandits do just enough to get in. They eke into that 8th spot. And this is going against myself now. This is taking both sides of the coin. So I can always go back to the tape from 3 weeks ago when I said the Thunder would have the 8th seed, and I could argue for that one, or I could argue for the Bandits now. So really, that's just me tilting the scales both ways.
Well, now I have to get both clips ready to go.
Yes, exactly. You have to have the right one ready.
We run whatever clip applies, but yeah, I think just with the matchups that are there through the back half of the schedule here, I think the Bandits have an advantage in terms of strength of schedule. I think they're a good team that's on the rise. They've made a ton of improvements. Their offense has really come out strong, come out firing in the last few weeks. I think Utica's going to put on a good show. I just don't think that Utica's got the same kind of momentum, the same kind of vibe that Boston Bandits have. But, I mean, this Utica team has certainly proven us wrong many times this season at all levels of hockey, right? They've impressed us at the elite and premier levels, and we've gone and watched these Utica Junior Comets play at the NCDC level, and it's the funniest thing because we've said this team looks good, they look strong, and they lose games close. They very rarely get blown out by these top teams, and I think that's one of those things that, the first and second seed teams are looking at and kind of going, we don't really want to play teams that can keep it close like that.
Hey, Little Dan. Are you ready to move on to a little Premier and Elite talk? That's a yes from him. That's a yes from us too. Let's talk Premier and Elite, talk about those folks who have already punched the ticket and those who have to still play this weekend.
The 2020 USPHL NCDC Combines are here. Taking place in Detroit, Michigan, April 10th through 11th, and Chicago, Illinois, May 1st through 2nd, this is a great opportunity to be scouted by the USPHL's Tier 2 NCDC tuition-free conference. Registration details available at usphl.com/combines.
All right, hockey fans, we talked about the NCDC, and now I'm excited to get into the Premier. It's a huge weekend. 4 teams have already punched their ticket of the 16. From the Florida Division, congratulations, it was Sweep City in the Florida Division and the Southeast. The Florida Eels and the Tampa Bay Juniors, well-deserved. This Juniors team has moved a lot of guys up from a near-national championship elite squad, and obviously the Premier has just been so successful this year.
Yeah, both of these teams have really, really fought hard this year, and you really got to tip your cap to them because they've gone through a lot. The Tampa Bay Juniors, this was kind of a rebuilding year. They lost a lot of guys. They had a very young squad, and they started to gain some momentum through those cold winter months. And the Florida Eels, they dealt with injury after injury after injury with resiliency, with poise, and this elite team has just done a phenomenal job this year.
They battled back this Florida Eels team when it felt like it was starting to sink. They got out the balloons and they flew back up into the air. Not a big deal. Sweeps for both of them. And speaking of not a big deal, 2 familiar faces with the sweep weekends here in Richmond. How about the Hampton Roads Whalers and the Charlotte Rush? And Lucas, you're a couple games away from hearing your name chanted again in Merrimack.
Yeah, I had a feeling that might rear its ugly head here, Dan. But This is going to be an interesting one, I think, and I'm just happy to see our old friends there at Nationals. That should be a fun one.
Remember Hampton Roads Whalers? Lucas has never picked the Hampton Roads Whalers to win a title, has not picked them to go to Nationals, and you boys just keep proving this man wrong. Continue to do so. Roll Whalers and hashtag Roll Rush right now. Just how good is this Rush team heading into Nationals?
I mean, they're incredible. It's just they've really rolled. That's been the thing. They've just been consistently winning, consistently beating really, really good teams. They are a scary team, Dan.
All right, we're going to have to do this quick because there's 12 spots up for grabs. So we're just going to run through. I'm going to give you the matchup. You're going to give me your pick. If you'd like to wax poetic on it, go ahead. If you'd like to make a quick one, you go ahead. You decide on each matchup. I'll try to talk about the ones you don't. We're doing this live on the fly.
Are you going to make your picks as well?
I'm going to make my picks as well.
Good.
So first, I'm saying you talk about the... Hold on, folks. You talk about the ones you want to talk about. If you just want to make the pick, I'll talk about that matchup. I'm giving you the right of way. Ready?
Ready.
First up in the Midwest West, the Minnesota Blue Ox take on the Hudson Havoc.
Dan, my brain says Havoc here. My heart knows how many times it's been broken by the Blue Ox.
A million.
A million times?
A zillion.
Should we start off the picks with an upset pick?
I think you should. I had 2 upset locks that I called out that were both right last weekend. Will Lucas get his first one?
I've been betting, kind of betting on things a lot with my head lately. I've been picking things a lot with my head. Maybe it's time to go with the heart. Let's go Blue Ox.
Blue Ox for Lucas. I'm going to go with the Havoc, and the reason why I say the Havoc here, the Blue Ox in that Midwest West, I think if they played the River Kings or the Moose right now, I think they could give them fits. The Havoc just match up well with the style that the Blue Ox win with. I think they'll match up well. I think they'll do just enough. I think it's a 3-game series. I think the Blue Ox take game 1. This is going to be interesting. It's going to come down to net minding. I just think the defensemen for the Havoc do enough to keep them in it and physical up this Blue Ox team. I've got the Havoc. Lucas has the Blue Ox. Let me mark this real quick on my list because guess what? Lucas, how do you feel about a little Jay Bryan's wager here?
Ooh.
Winner gets wings bought for him at Jay Bryan's at Nationals, first night of Nationals, by the other.
Sounds good to me.
Jay Bryan's the official wingery of the Dan K Show up by Merrimack. We love that place. Keep moving. Boston Junior Bruins, IHC.
I think IHC's just got too much momentum. I'm going with them.
I'm going with IHC as well. I just think this is a team that's 4 lines banging, boys are buzzing, getting pucks deep, and this is all day long, all season long, IHC has been my boys. Dan K's squad. I think they get there. I think they hit the doldrums. I think they've gotten through them. And I think Coach K has these boys on the move. Number 3, Connecticut Junior Rangers, Springfield Picks.
I'm going to go with the picks here, Dan. I just don't think I've seen enough defensive effort from the Junior Rangers this year. They've given up a lot of goals, and the Springfield Picks have been locked down.
Riley Lewis. Not done yet, baby. Not done yet. This is a guy who moved over to this Connecticut Junior Rangers side. I think the Rangers are going to steal the game from the Picks in this series. I think the Picks win it. I think the Picks win the series in 3 games. I think it's closer than people think. Keep moving. Bandits, Cyclones. Boston Bandits, Northern Cyclones.
This is a tough one because I think this kind of falls under that realm of where do you think the upset might come from. This Boston Bandits team has been good, but Northern is rolling into this playoff, Dan. I am certainly not going to deny a double-digit win streak rolling into playoffs. I've got Northern.
I've got the Cyclones as well. I think this could be a Cyclone sweep of a season. I am going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised if the Cyclones were in a national championship game in the Elite, the Premier, and the NCDC. How about that for a ridiculous prediction? How about the work Bill Flanagan's doing up there? Congrats again, Alex Thomas, on a new hire. One of the best hires I've seen in my time in the sports industry, man. I've been around for a long time. Let's keep going. Buffalo Thunder, the Buff Thunder right there. These guys are strong, taking on the Utica Junior Comets, who have been your boys all season.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to be. I'm certainly not going to have a favorite team all season and then abandon them come playoff time. I'm going Utica.
I talked well about this Buffalo Thunder team all season long. I think they're really physical. This is not the team you want to play. This team will physically you right back up. I just don't see it on the road. I've got Utica as well. We're agreeing a lot right now. Let's keep going. The Skipjacks Hockey Club and the Rockets Hockey Club. It's the battle of the HCs.
Oh, boy. Look at this one, Dan. I mean, the Skipjacks Hockey Club has got that lineage. We know they've got defensive efforts. But again, you're just looking at this Rockets team. And you got to give respect where respect is due. They gave up 79 goals in the entirety of the regular season.
79 goals allowed, 249 goals for. They're unbelievable.
Their goal differential is higher than the amount of goals the Skipjacks scored during the regular season.
For the Devils fans out there that have to watch the Devils be the worst team on the planet every night, head down to Bridgewater, go check out the Rockets Hockey Club, because this team is a must-see. It's the best team in New Jersey. I think they might take it to the Devils on a even ice.
They might actually.
So we keep going here. You took the Rockets Hockey Club. I take the Rockets as well. I think this Rockets team, we moved them up recently in our power rankings, number 2 in the country. I think this could be the second or third best team in the country right now. I think they have national title written all over them, depending on the group they fall into once they get through. Next up, Lake Erie Bighorns, Metro Jets, Buzzsaw City, man. This Jets team is getting back to their old ways.
Yeah, I mean, the Metro Jets are no joke. And they haven't been a joke all season, but they're certainly no joke now, Dan. And you know, you talk about a lopsided goal differential. I think they're the only team besides the Chicago Cougars with a higher goal differential than the Rockets Hockey Club. I'm going Metro here.
Metro's just so good. They're so deep, and you know they again, they're another team that kind of hit all the branches on the way down the tree, and they're on the ground now and they're climbing back up. And you better get out of that tree, because that's a bear coming up the tree, man. That thing's gonna chop a leg off right there. Metro Jets, I think this is a team that you do not want to deal with right now. 11 straight victories for the Metro Jets going into this series. MJDP, the Metro Jets Development Program, just doing it at all levels because they're one of the best programs on the darn planet. The Metro Jets Development Program taking on the Decatur Blaze, the Blazy Boys.
Oh, this is a real interesting one, Dan, because the Decatur Blaze are an offensive squad. They're offensive focused, but MJDP is the exact opposite. They're a defensive first team. This is a team that has given up nearly 40 less goals than the Decatur Blaze have all season. They have a lower differential, but
it's a battle of Dan KV, Lucas
they're
Jones
coming
here.
into the playoffs with a little bit much more of a role. I think MJDP takes this one on the back of their defense. They are the fire extinguishers to take out the Blaze.
It would be inappropriate. It would be off-brand of me to not take the Decatur Blaze right now. You call out the defense v offense matchup. You love your defense. I want Holyfield. Decatur Blaze, zillion goals this weekend. I think it's a big weekend for TJ Dugan. TJ is going to be good, man. He's going to be real good this weekend. I got the Blaze. Lucas has MJDP in the battle for the Dan K Show soul. Next up, Pittsburgh Vengeance, Toledo Cherokee, matchup of the century right here.
Yeah, this is another interesting one, I think, Dan, because the offense in the Great Lakes Division has just been outrageous. I mean, it's incredible, some of the numbers that they've been putting up. So in an offense-heavy division, all things being even, you gotta look at the team who survived with defensive efforts. I look at a team who has been in our top 10 power rankings. I look at a team who's consistently been on the top of the Great Lakes Division. I look at the Vengeance to move on.
Vengeance as well for me. I look at the Toledo Cherokee and I love what they do as a team. I feel like they might be a year away. I feel like they're a year away. And I think this could be a team that supplants and jumps past the Metro Jets next year in this division. I see them on that trajectory. I just think they're a year away. I've got the Pittsburgh Vengeance right here. Philadelphia Hockey Club, New York Aviators. Joe Sikoa will come to this booth and punch you in the face if you don't take the Aviators. I got the Aviators.
Yeah, I mean you have to. You know, you talk about picking with the heart, and the Aviators are that come from behind story. You talk about picking with the head.
What a season!
They've got 263 goals for. It's just been a nightmare for all these other teams that have played them in the last 2 months. So I got to go Aviators as well.
Aviators are scoring in bunches. Philly looked a little shaky at times of late. They've not been playing their best hockey. Still 6-4-0 in the last 10, so it tells you how good they've been coming into the playoffs. This is just an Aviator team that just seems destiny's written on this team. Destiny is written on this team enough. Last year I took the tattoo challenge. No chance. No chance. I'll take something that's not permanent on my body this go around, Aviators fans, if you'd like to bet me on something. But I've got the Aviators here, and I think they're going to score a ton of goals this weekend. Two more series to pick here. I'm going to save the best one for last, and this one is probably 1A. And it's going to be Fort Wayne Spacemen, Chicago Cougars in the Midwest East.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The Fort Wayne Spacemen and the Chicago Cougars. I mean, look. Fort Wayne has not had the defensive season that I think they wanted to have, whereas the Chicago Cougars have. But the Fort Wayne Spacemen are just explosive. And I think that the Chicago Cougars are a good defensive squad, But will they be able to shut down Jared Fisher? I don't know, Dan. I think that's the question that lingers. Why don't we switch things up? Why don't you make your pick first?
What's the best score you can get in bowling?
300?
When the Cougars score their first goal this weekend, what goal number will that be for the year?
300?
300 goals! Just everyone shut up, stop talking, look the other way. Cougars. Cougars, easy pick right here for me. This Spaceman team is incredible. I don't want to deal with Jared Fisher in a must-win situation, but I can't pick against a team that scored 300 goals on their next one. Unbelievable season out in Chi-Town. I got Cougars. I got Dick coming onto the ice with Brett Stolfers behind the bench, the juice box guy. You go get me a juice box right now. And I got him going by a zillion touchdowns here.
Dan, you said that you are not going to be the guy to pick against a team going for their 300th goal.
Correct.
But you know who is?
Wow,
Me.
ladies and gentlemen.
I think the Fort Wayne Spacemen, who rolled into the playoffs with 11 straight wins,
Yep.
have the momentum, have the skill, and have the ability to take on the Cougars. We've seen what happens when the Cougars play a team with a couple of superstars floating around there on that top line, and with a good squad to back them up. I think Fort Wayne turns it on. I think they play to the level of the Cougars, and I think they take the offense right out from underneath them.
Final pick to make. Final pick.
God.
And this is the matchup of the century. This might be the best postseason matchup I have ever seen in the USPHL. It is the best team this season in the Midwest West against the best team right now in the Midwest West. The Minnesota Moose come into this. You ever seen a moose run down the street set on fire? That's what this is right now. This is a flaming, firing moose racing down the highway, getting out of the way. Hide your kids right now because the moose are hot. Hot as a moose in a forest fire right now, taking on a River Kings team that all season I thought was the best team in the Midwest West and have hit a little bit of a slide of late.
Yeah, and that's what makes this tricky, because if you had asked me this question, I think 3 weeks ago, Dan, I would have had a very firm answer for you in the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. And now it's a bit of a different question, isn't it? Because the River Kings, it's not like they've had a slide. 7-3-0 in their last 10 before the playoffs started.
Yeah,
by
you
any
get
other
your two
standard,
in the playoffs as well. Yeah.
Right, by any other standard, that's not a slide. But when you look at the Minnesota Moose, who have been just steamrolling every single team they've come into contact with, the energy level is so high with the Moose.
Yep.
They are buzzing. They are ready to rock and roll. This is a tough one.
I look at this matchup, and I have to go to the names. And I can give you a million names in the Moose that I trust. But when I look at the top of the mountain with the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, and I look behind that bench, and I see Coach Marty Quarters, a guy who has done this at every level, everywhere, every time. This is going to be one of the most well-coached games on both ends. These two benches have two of the best coaches on the planet right now, two of the best guys to play for on the planet, two professional organizations. This is a matchup for the ages. But I brought some cheese curds out to Wisconsin. Time for Dan to go on his monologue. I brought some cheese curds out to the Wisconsin Rapids with this man, and we put him in a cup. And when we were handing out that cup, when we brought that cup, I said, whoever wins today is going to raise the bigger cup later this year. And you know, it's a pretty big cup. We did get a really big cup for the cheese curd cup. It might have been the biggest cup that'll be around this year. The best cup, a tremendous cup, a wonderful cup.
We had to put a lot of cheese curds in
A
it.
huge cup. And this cheese curd champion, this team was put on the spot, put in a playoff atmosphere, put in a win or go home mentality. And what did they do when the breaks were against the boys? They went out there and they won one for Marty Quarters, and they're going to win one for Dan K, and they're going to win another for Dan K this weekend. Doing it for Dan K. I got the River Kings going to Nationals.
If there was any two teams, if I had the power to take any two teams and just place them into Nationals without a matchup, it would be these two. Because I think either one of these squads has a potential to win a title, and I think it is a gosh darn shame that they have to play each other to get there. I really do, because both of these teams could walk into any rink in the country, any division in the country, any game slot, any pool when it comes to Nationals and win. But they have to play each other. I think the River Kings come out on top. I think it's going 3. I think overtimes are in the mix. I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out battle. And I think that the Moose have put together a heck of a run coming down the stretch. But the River Kings, we've seen them in must-win situations. We've seen them in score goals or die situations, and they have come through.
I thought you were going to say skull. I thought you were getting real Minnesota. You betcha, he said skull. I think, I'm going to guarantee you right now, there's a double overtime game in this series. There's a double overtime game. We've gone in double overtime for this segment. This is a very long segment. We're going to do a little quick chat about the Elite coming up next and just kind of preview who's made it, give our congratulations, and get ready for our pick-em next week.
You are watching The Dan K Show. Everything USPHL. From the NCDC to the Premier and Elite Leagues. The Dan K Show with Dan K and Lucas Jones.
All right, welcome back, hockey fans. We've gone through the Premier. We've gone through the NCDC. The Elite is all set. Unlike the Premier, where we still have game action going on this weekend, the Elite Nationals are set. We have not seen the official release of the pools yet. We have an idea of what they will be. We're going to wait for the league to release that. But for us, Lucas, we can look and we can talk about the 8 teams who made it. First in the North Division, the Cyclones with a sweep over the Boston Junior Bruins and the Picks with a sweep over the Bandits.
Yeah, the Cyclones and the Picks, these are two squads that have done a phenomenal job all season. They put goals in the back of the net. They played lockdown defense. They work really well in the developmental structure as well. They're getting guys up to the next level. You got the Picks out there who do such a great job with the media. The Northern Cyclones who do such a great job with all that stuff as well. These are two teams that I'm excited to watch play.
This is a Picks team that have been giant killers all year long, too. So I'm interested to see them in that format where it's day, 3 days in a row, 3 hockey games. I'm very excited to see them get matched up in that scenario, must win against some of the Goliaths throughout this league. Happy to play the role of David. I'm sure the David? Who is that? That's if a snake could talk, David would be his name. Let's keep going. Your Mid-Atlantic Division. The Hitmen get that bye into the finals because of how good they were this year. Joining them again. Yet again. Deja vu all over again. The Aviators Elite goes into New Jersey and upsets the Rockets. And I'll tell you, that rivalry, that Rockets Hockey Club must be very frustrated with them right now.
Well, I just talked to Joe Sokoa, earlier today, and I said, where are your manners? Somebody invites you into their home, you go in and you rough up the place.
They did sweep for him.
Yeah, they did sweep for him. But talk about going into an unfriendly barn. Dan, he said that the Aviators traveled so well that they outnumbered the Rockets fans in that barn. And, that just goes to show you how tough they are. They bring home wherever they go.
And it goes to show you how great of an organization it is, right? It's a great family organization, top to bottom. We become so close to them just because of how close we are geographically and also because they're incredible people. And I will tell you, yet again, if you feed us as well as they feed us when they see us on the road, we'll always be your friends and we'll always advocate for you. Feed your media, folks. You want to know, instead of chirping your media, feed your media. Don't yell at us. Feed us. We'll be happy with you. Let's keep going. Let's move into Florida. Upset City, baby. It's awesome, baby. I was doing the Dickie V. We just got back from the TSCHL tournament, baby. We're doing party time. We're talking about the Florida division, baby. Couple Dapper Dandies out there. How about 2 teams? First year inaugural seasons, baby. Also with the capital A, the Charleston Colonials and the Atlanta Manhatters.
You good? You done?
I hurt myself.
I was going to say, it sounded like that.
I injured myself a bit. I don't know how Dick Vitale does it.
But yeah, you look at these 2 squads, talk about inaugural season success. I mean,
right.
This is what you do, right? You move on. And, you talk about how good this Mad Hatters team is. We saw them down in Florida. They play physical. They finish their checks. They go through the boards. They are a disciplined systems team. The systems can do a lot for you, Dan. And I think this Mad Hatters team has a little bit of everything. But can we talk for a second about our boys?
Hunter Bishop,
the Charleston Colonials. We have been, and we very rarely toot our own horn. But we have been on this Charleston Colonials elite team from September.
Hunter Bishop is a Southern gentleman who knows how to win hockey games.
We said that this team was a team who looked like they needed a couple of months. And we said this back in September. And every single month, this team got a little bit better. Then they went into the Florida showcase. And as we were watching from the scout room, they had a couple of big-time wins at that showcase. And I remember looking at Hunter Bishop, and he pointed up at me. And that was the point of a man who was ready for success. This team has made it to nationals, and we could not be happier.
I do declare, Mr. Bishop, you are my hero. Hockey wins for me? The Charleston Colonials, man, giving me the vapors right now. I am so excited about this squad. I'm so excited about what the Mad Hatters did. They both do it in different ways. The Colonials go out there and they put up a 7 spot, put up the touchdown, they kick the extra point. On the other side, you got a Mad Hatter squad who just physicals you up.
Yep.
physicals you up, play the game, make it tough, take away space. They both did what they had to do, took care of business. Welcome to Natty Town.
Yeah, we're excited to see these two teams kind of make their way up to nationals and see what they're able to do in pool play.
And last but not least, the Southeast. And man,
boy.
my God, you could have sent all 4 teams out of the Southeast up there, and they all could have won a title this year. 2 teams had to reign victorious. I want to start with the Richmond Generals, who sweep their rivals in the Hampton Roads Whalers. They're the defending champions. They've got the crown. You want to be the man, you got to beat the man, and no one's done it yet.
Yeah, I mean, this Generals team is scary. They're coming into this one, essentially the clear favorite off the back of their regular season and as well as their championship run last season. They're going to be a tough team to contend with.
Finally, the Carolina Junior Canes. Look at the Canes go. They're playing hockey. They were playing the Charlotte Rush this weekend, a Rush team that we thought was going to win a national championship this year in the lead. At least I did. I said it a bunch. I was wrong. This Carolina Junior Canes team has done nothing but prove us wrong every single day of their lives.
And they did it with authority. 13 goals for, 5 goals against the Charlotte Rush team. Limiting the Charlotte Rush to 5 goals in 1 game is great. Limiting them to 5 goals in 2 games is an art form.
In the postseason, too.
Call the Carolina Junior Hurricanes artists, because I think what they did was paint with broad strokes this past weekend.
I will tell you, this has been artistry in the elite. I cannot wait for nationals. Make sure you tune in with the Dan K Show next week. We're going to be live, Lucas, live from nationals. We'll have our picks ready for you live on Thursday from nationals. Our picks for the national championship, for the winner of each pool play. We'll make those before the game starts. There's going to be some games already in action when we go live on the air. But we'll be live next Thursday from Merrimack College. Come watch live, or if you can't, tune in on Facebook to the Dan K Show. We'll also throw it up on Instagram Live. Dan K needs to learn to turn his phone off, but my phone is buzzing as well and is excited about what's coming up. Let's go to the Empty Net. Welcome to the Empty Net. Welcome to the Empty Net, our favorite portion of each week's show where we talk to you, the fan. But guess what? We talked to each other too much this week because we were so buzzing about nationals. I want to remind you again, on Monday morning we will release the Dan K Show Pick'em Challenge for nationals, the Elite and Premier. You will get to pick who you think will win each group, who will win the national championship, what the matchup will be. Whoever gets the most picks right will win a giant picture of Gritty, which is Dan K on brand, a Dan K Show t-shirt, and a Dan K Show mug. A awesome prize pack. You'll also get some Dan K Show autographs on some stuff as well. It'll be very, very awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That Dan K Show prize pack with an estimated value of many dollars, Dan. We can't really put a price tag on our merchandise because, that would put us in a little bit of an interesting situation because we actually forgot, we lost that piece of paper that had all the prize packs, so we'll say it's worth many dollars.
I heard it was worth a zillion.
I mean, that sounds right to me.
We're going to talk about a zillion hockey games over the next few weeks. We cannot wait. It's almost Nationals time. Good luck to everybody competing this weekend in the Premier. Remember to get out, play hard, and leave everything on the ice. Leave everything on the ice. Lucas, leave everything on the show here for the folks at home. Parting words. What do the boys do in playoff time? They buzz, baby. They buzz. Not a big deal. It's just playoff time. Nationals next week. We'll see you in Merrimack. Until then, when Dan K's on a mic, it's always hockey night.
That was fast.
I forgot the back end of my... It was quick, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were just at the USPHL Southern Showcase. I feel like we were just there yesterday.
Oh man, you remember the food?
Yeah. I feel like every
Chef
single
Troy, I
the
miss
showcases have really stepped up their food game. Chef Troy, the Southeast.
Chef Troy.
You had the Tampa Bay Juniors with that mojo pork with the avocado lime crema. Oh my gosh!
When I didn't realize it wasn't mojo pork, but it got my mojo back. I can tell you that much.
We are not bougie people, but we will eat bougie food.